Ready to start your journey? Whether it's your first workout or you are a seasoned athlete, Endurance for Everyone Coaching wants to work with you. Our coaching team has worked with athletes from beginners to USAT national qualifiers and are comprised of experienced runners, cyclists, and triathletes who have a passion for healthy living and have been where you are. We offer comprehensive coaching programs from weekly support to basic consultation, all designed to help you achieve your goals. If you want to take your performance to the next level, look no further than Endurance for Everyone Coaching. Go to www.teamE4E.com and click on the coaching link or send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And let's get started.
Welcome to this week's Endurance for Everyone podcast.
The following program is for entertainment purposes only. Though the hosts of this show are certified Ironman coaches, their attempts at long-course triathlons and endurance events should not be taken as an endorsement for you to do something stupid too. You should make your own bad decisions, then podcast about it. Now, let's start the show.
Hey, this is John Harris.
And this is Rob Bozovich.
And Endurance is for Everyone, and this is the Endurance for Everyone podcast.
John, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
And do we happen to have our esteemed guests on the call? Peter Bryan, are you there?
This is Brian Peter.
This is Peter Bryan.
Fantastic. That's exactly how I wanted that to go. So we're trying something new here, and I'm going to go two different ways with it, as John likes to. And we brought with us today, we have Peter Villa and BRYAN GOULD from the How's Your Run Today podcast. They, I believe, are going to be recording this as well and potentially putting out on their show. As such, it's not going to follow our normal format of like an interview, and it's not going to be just John and I sitting here and chatting. So we're going to just have a little round robin talking to each other, and hopefully both audiences can find some fun and some value in this. So without further ado, boys, back at it. Let's get to going.
Well, we're going to release ours on vinyl. Because that's where the audience is now.
It is.
What direction do I look at for the camera?
You can look right here.
Straight ahead.
You look good.
Nice.
Well, thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be on your fine show. Endurance for Everyone.
Thanks for having us. Should you choose to post it out as well?
Oh, we will. No, we will. Endurance for Everyone. You're including everyone, so that's why we're here, because we don't do anything.
And we don't have a lot of endurance, that's for sure. Not lately.
But see, I beg to differ, because I saw the video of Millinocket.
Oh,
I saw the Millinocket video, and I was a little upset because I was actually signed up for that one.
Oh no!
And
what happened?
Well, you know, people took money from me.
You didn't catch the theme from earlier. John likes to sign up for things. He likes to collect streaks and not so much finishes.
All right, Tyler. No, I just had some fund issues at the end of the year, and I couldn't get it up there. But I am signed up for this year's, and I have every intention on getting up there for this year.
And are you going to do the full or the half?
I'm doing the half, especially after seeing that video.
Yeah, I wonder if we've tainted people's way of seeing it, because it's really not that bad.
It's not that bad. I ran the full the first year. It was all right.
It's pretty bad.
All I saw was it going uphill.
It's a lot uphill.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of hills.
Yeah, and then the back issue. I felt your pain. I felt your pain there, because every time I run hills at all, I get the same issue. So I feel you.
Yeah, you do have to be careful.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful course, and it's a beautiful town, and we're so lucky that they've allowed us to come and make hay of it there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you should definitely come.
Yeah, I was. I really wanted to go, and I was trying to. I think you mentioned it on the video that you were trying to remember where you had heard from it, and then I was trying to remember where I had heard about it at. We had talked about it on the show, people going up to do it. And I don't think I heard about it from Runner's World. I think I heard about it somewhere else, about a free marathon somewhere in Maine, and kind of looked it up. And I love little towns like that. This is Florida, so obviously we don't have the same kind of issues, but I grew up in a little town like that with little mom and pop stores everywhere. So I really like that kind of stuff. And I just think there's like a coolness for a guy from Florida to go run a half marathon in Maine in December. So
see, John, I heard about the Millinocket race and the How's Your Run Today podcast from you. And that's why, because you had talked about the way I recall it here is you had talked about, and in your fashion, and I say that with love and affection, you say things, but then don't give all the details. Like you're trying to hold just a little back, and because you're like, I'm going to go to Maine to do this. And to me, I'm like, well, okay, hey, John, why are you going? You're like, well, I really want to do a race in the cold. That's all you had said. And I said, well, hell, if you want to do a half marathon in the cold, come here, because the same weekend Nittany Valley puts on, here in Penn State, the Nittany Valley Runners Club puts on a half marathon. I said, come do that one. And you really wouldn't say the reason why. And eventually you came out and said, well, I heard about it on this podcast. At which point, I don't know if Peter or Brian even remember. Go ahead.
You know what? Maybe it was on their podcast that I heard about it. Now thinking about it, I probably heard about it on your podcast.
Well, at that time, I reached out to them, and I don't even know if they remember, because I was trying, as I do, I like to binge things, and I forget what episode you guys were on at that point, but somewhere, though, north of 25, I want to say. And but I wanted to go back and listen from episode 1. So I had emailed you guys with the question, because and I didn't want to come off sound elitist or whatever when I was saying it that way. But my question to you guys was, hey, did you say you're doing Boston, but, are you doing it as charity, or how'd you get in, or is it because it's your hometown, or what? Because, you can't, I don't know a way that you can qualify for Boston while running it as your first race. So that's was kind of what I'd emailed you guys, and got the response. You did. Yes. It was that you guys are both doing it for charity and so forth. And then fast forward now, you guys are what, episode 100 and something? Last I checked here, you just did your Love Fest part 1 and 2, and
if you're lucky, you'll be 121.
121, cool. But yeah, so about, like I said, almost 100 episodes later, then as well. So when I'm reaching out to you guys and seeing about us all getting together. So John, I feel like you heard about the Millinocket race from them, because you're the one that turned me on to them, and I've listened to every episode since. So.
Wait, did we discuss it on the air?
We do talk about it incessantly.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard something, and at some point you guys on your end, this is to our audience, Endurance for Everyone, I would encourage you guys to go over and listen to their podcast. If they do post us to hear different show production, they have a lovely little sound clip that I would like to try to emulate with my voice, but I don't want to lose everyone's respect for me here by barking and howling and saying, which way to the finish line? How do we get there? So
That's pretty good.
That's true. That's true.
That sounds familiar.
That's about right. So you guys don't use any sound effects on your show in any way?
Well, we are a self-produced show, so we're lucky that we get it up at all.
That's what John said.
I was very impressed with the movie, so I'm still linked onto that. It's like, okay, they didn't do that themselves, did they? Because we
didn't do anything.
Yeah.
No, we're self produced also, a laptop and a couple of mics, and that movie was actually made by a friend of ours, Greg Shea, who is a pretty accomplished both runner and filmmaker, and so he's the real deal. So we were just the fools that he decided to make his subject for the movie, but that's all him.
Well,
all the skill is somebody else. We just fill up time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So okay, we're the same in that we're both self-produced. We record because like we said, Rob is up there in Pennsylvania. I'm down here in Florida, so we record over Skype, and I found a little program that'll actually record Skype, and I do everything on Audition, Adobe Audition, and yeah, but in the good way is that I can get it out there very quickly. Usually within an hour after we're done, it's out. So.
Another way for me to say that is we do very little editing unless there's a big faux pas. I think John's only ever cut 3 minutes of content out of one. Yeah. He pretty much drops the intro, drops the outro, and it's online as is.
Yep.
Have you ever had to edit out any content due to controversy or a guest request or anything like that?
Not a guest request. Afterwards, I think we talked about something that when we thought about it afterwards, I was saying, we probably shouldn't say that, and I'll cut something out. I don't normally like to cut things out because I like it being organic, just like a discussion. We are what we consider a family-friendly show, so if we drop an F-bomb here or there, then I'll try to grab that one. But we're pretty good about that, actually. We don't normally lose it too much. I tend to be more the ranter than Rob is on things, but and the Navy in me comes out, so occasionally, if you know what I mean.
No, John, please tell everyone.
The Navy language, the sailor comes out in me every once in a while, and I have to.
I think I understood it.
Yeah.
Salty language of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, anything over 12 miles, that's the only thing that comes out of my mouth.
Exactly. That's where the trash is. Yeah. So you have to be You have to be around the ocean to understand that. You must have been around the ocean a little bit. It's 12 miles.
Well, we're not too far from the ocean.
12 miles is the limit. After 12 miles, you can dump trash.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So.
But no one should.
I think they've actually changed that, to be honest. But that, I was back in the 80s, so it was a free for all back then. We had trash dumping parties. That's not true. I'm just making that up.
That's a terrible joke, John.
You hear the crickets? PETA's after me right now. I can hear him coming.
Joke redacted.
Yeah, that'll be cut out.
We have to do that all the time.
So.
Yeah, this is your guest asking to have that cut out.
It's a first.
That's a first.
This is going to be a lot.
You made Peter uncomfortable.
You're the first. I made Peter uncomfortable. Oh well. So Rob, I really like to know how you guys kind of got your start, and kind of like the history. We talked a little bit about ours, but before we started recording, but I think I'm not even sure how I found your show back in the day. I think probably somebody mentioned it to me, and I tend to be. Rob's a little bit more of a podcast junkie than I am, but if I get on a roll, when I was driving more. How did you guys get started? So where did your ideas come from?
This is Peter speaking. You might also have heard us when we used to mail out cassettes of the show before the internet was ready.
Yeah,
technology-wise. So you could have cut one of those holiday mixes we did on tape. Back in
just for the Sony Walkman. It's a special week we did.
Back in the spring of 2014, we got conned into believing that it was possible that maybe Brian and myself could run the Boston Marathon for a charity team because a coworker had just done it. And we started thinking about that through the summer and got very ambitious and signed up for a half marathon in that fall of 2014. So we started a training program of about 16 weeks. And while we were doing that training program and logging our first really, I think, certainly for me, serious long distance miles per week, upwards of 20 miles a week and all that, we said, all right, I guess we'll look at charity teams. And each of us went out and found a charity team that would accept. I can't believe they did, but they accepted us. And so we knew going into that fall, even before the half marathon, that we were accepted and had to raise money to do the 2015 running of the Boston Marathon, which was very exciting. I mean, it was all sort of new territory for us, and there was no inkling that there would ever be a show, that we would ever talk about it, that we would ever make fun of it, whatever. We just were so thrilled to have this experience, to try it. And then the half marathon came, and that was the first time I'd ever run 13.1 miles. And I thought I was going to die. And I remember finishing that race. We both ran it together.
Yeah.
And I remember finishing that race way behind you. You smoked me on that one. And I laughed so hard the minute I crossed the finish line, because I knew there was no way I was going to go run the Boston Marathon. Like, that was it. I was done. I was never going to run again. I was sure of it. And then, like, I don't know, like 35 minutes later, I was thinking about, well, I guess I can take a few days up and then I got to get back to it because I got to start training for the full marathon, because your brain does weird chemically things after you go on these big high endorphin running races. And okay, so we did our training together, and we did our training together in a really bad New England winter.
A lot of snow, a lot of cold.
Snow, and lots of long miles, and try to do as little treadmill as possible and do all the real big weekend runs outdoors in the weather. And then we had, I think, a terrific running of the marathon. Like, it was super sloppy, wet, and windy that day, but it was terrific, and it was life-changing. And it's all those things that you hear people say they are. And it just is. It's a mind blow. And we just wouldn't stop talking about it. All we did that summer was talk about, we ran a marathon, we ran a marathon, we ran a marathon, we ran our first marathon. And people got really...
No, it was even down to the level of, remember that 14-mile training run? Remember that second 13-mile training run?
We must have done like 4 half marathons.
That was so exciting.
Every Saturday for a month.
And basically everyone who knew us, everyone who worked with us, everyone who lives with us, everyone who knows us told us to shut up.
Stop doing it.
And then we decided to sit down and record these nonstop discussions about running. And that's where the podcast was born. We really thought no one would listen to it, and that it wouldn't go more than, well, we never even thought it would go anywhere. The first one's only about 5 minutes long.
Yeah, we had no plan.
And we had no plan. And then we got some feedback. And then a few weeks, I don't know, I would say months later, totally, and this tells you how little we thought about it ahead of time, people were talking about how they were listening to us on their long runs.
Which was totally shocking, because that's nothing we thought.
It was shocking. We thought a couple of our friends would listen to it because sometimes we tell funny jokes. And it has actually become sort of a little community of people who listen on their long runs, or people who never would have run, listen to the show, and then enjoy it, and then decided to get in on this crazy sport and have, bought sneakers and started running. It's really been surprising. I mean, the show has done a lot that I didn't expect, mainly because we didn't expect anything. I mean, we were just having fun recording our conversations and telling jokes about how idiotic it is to go out running all the time.
And I think the only guideline we had really by the second week was, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to release a show a week. But we're always going to do it on the same day. And it happens to be in our world, it's Thursday around 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
And we regret that decision almost every week.
Because it's killing us. Talk about endurance for everyone.
Yeah, this is an endurance sport.
This podcast endurance for everyone, because it's just cut it out.
I have to say, I mean, I tell people that all the time, is that they don't realize how much of your time this takes. They hear it for, and I have to agree with you, is that it's very surprising when you hear people start talking about, oh yeah, we listened to, or even last week I told Rob we were late. We recorded on Tuesday instead of Monday, and people were actually asking us where the show was.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's almost shocking. It's like, really? we're only a day late. But
you get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's what I sound. Oh, you got what you paid for. So it's very shocking. I tell you, the very first time I was really shocked was I went to, we're hosted through Podbean, but I don't know how you do it, but I went to, and this was a while ago, I went to iTunes, and we were actually on the new and noteworthy line. And it was like, that was just shocking to me. It's like,
that's fantastic.
Holy crap. How did we get there? Because I don't feel like we have a lot of listeners. I mean, we average maybe 600, a show, which is, when I've seen others like are in the thousands. So it was kind of, I don't know how their algorithm works, but yeah, somehow we popped up, and on Podbean, I think we were number 39 out of in the top 100 for a long time. So somebody's listening, and it's just always shocking me because we always felt like, well, we're just talking, You said something profound in the movie about, and when you said it, I laughed. I was listening, watching it with somebody, and I said that is so true. Is that, runners love to listen to other people talk about running. Or you said something to that.
No, they really do. Yeah, there's no better audience than other runners because everyone has that. Well, how are they doing it? How does it compare to me?
Right.
Oh, I've done that race. Oh my gosh, that race is brutal. Or that's a race I do want to do.
Yes.
That's a big one too.
Yeah, and I think that and what we try to do on our show, and I think you do too, is that I put everything out there. I'm not a small guy, I'm a 270-pound guy, and I'm out there.
Yeah, but you're 8 feet tall.
Yeah. So it kind of evens out, right? My BMI is right in the zone. I'm a big guy, so I think and I talk a lot about that. I talk a lot about how it hurts and how it, it sucks, and how my ass hurts on the bike, and things like that. But I'm out there doing it, and we were joking about that. I drop out a lot of races. It's not really true. I've done, up teen half Ironmans, things like that. So I've done these races, and I think it helps other people that are trying to. Our whole idea is to show people that you don't have to be an elite athlete to get out there and give these things a shot. I've tried. I attempted a Vermont race last May, 100 miles. Didn't last very long, but up Mount Romance, and
that's tremendous.
Yeah,
just for taking the challenge on and showing up on the day.
Right, and 50-mile-an-hour winds the night before, and pouring rain. We couldn't even get our tents up so everybody's sleeping in their cars, and here I am from Florida.
Did it sour you on it? Like, do you not want to attempt that kind of race, or now having gone through the motions of starting one and seeing what it is?
Well, you said the same. You said exactly something earlier. That's exactly true. Is that while you're in it, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. And then within 10 minutes after finishes, I say, okay, when's the next one? Because, so I'm not doing it this year, but I am eyeing it for next year. I have to finish this race. I have to do that 100 miles.
When I finish an entire pint of Ben & Jerry's in one sitting, I say the exact same thing.
Yeah. I'm never doing that again. And then once it digests.
Yeah, like 72 hours later, I'm back in the cooking.
And you pass a 7-Eleven.
I got some cheesecake in there. Hence the 200 pounds.
When we did that Boston Marathon run, Peter really hadn't run much since high school, right? Literally cross country school, and I was an occasional runner. I had run maybe 2 half marathons before that, and I was set with that. I was going to train once a year to do this half marathon that's run in my town, and I didn't want any more, and that was a big challenge. I was like, wow, this is me. This is what I do once a year. I go out and run a half marathon, and it makes me feel great. And in the intervening time since we ran the marathon, and then especially with the podcast, and it's had a little traction, we've met in an enormous running community. And it feels ridiculous to say this, but I didn't know it existed. I saw people used to run around in my neighborhood. You see a lot of people in marathons, especially in Boston Marathon. It's huge, but they're from all over the world, frankly. And if you go here in Boston or in any city, you'll see little packs of runners here and there. But we found, a lot of those people are connected, and there really is, and the word community gets thrown around a lot, but especially here in the Boston area, but we found it in races all over the place. There is a sense of togetherness and camaraderie that even that is addicting, just being part of it. And, I had hip surgery recently to take care of an issue I was dealing with in December. And it's been tough to be out of it. I found myself going to events and seeking out situations where I can be with other runners, even though I can't run. So that's part of it. Have you guys? You must have had some of that effect in your running.
Oh yeah, I mean when somebody ever asks me, I mean we do. I am a certified coach, but I coach not just triathlon. I coach other people as well. But whenever somebody asks me about a triathlon, the first thing out of their mouth is one, I can never do a triathlon, or two, I can never do the swim, right? And then I say, if I can swim, you can swim, But it's just a matter of doing it. But I always tell them, go to a triathlon, watch one, go watch one in person, and I guarantee you will want to do one. You will.
Yeah, I can see that.
And especially if you go to those big ones, and you made a comment, I think it was John earlier, about, showing that not everybody who's doing this is an elite athlete. And that's what always gets me and got me in the Boston Marathon, which is you see yourself in that pack, not in the front, but somewhere between the middle and the back. You're going to see yourself go by and say, oh, well, if that person can do it, I could do it.
I see more of the Bryans than the Peters, though. I guess.
and that's
there's plenty of Peters out there,
right? And that's true. Is that there's more of us. We Andrew and I used to talk about that in the very beginning, which is where the boppers came from. Back of pack endurance is that there's more fun at the parties in the back. The fun is not trying to run a 6-minute mile for an hour and a half. It's like everybody's having fun doing 12, 13-minute miles, and, there's no, and one of the things I have a hard time, especially with new clients, is that getting through to them is that, one, you don't have to run the whole thing. There are other methods to do this. Don't get caught up in the fact that if I can't run 26 miles, I don't belong out there.
Right.
You run, walk. I run, walk all the time. And just give it a shot, get out there and get around a good group of people. I had some bad experiences actually myself when I first got into triathlon with a couple of triathlon groups that, it seemed to be that they were more concerned about, getting drunk than they were about doing triathlons. And that really shied me away from it.
Carb loading, John. Don't judge.
Yeah. Liquid bread. I'm not, it kind of shied me away from that because that's not my deal. And that's not why I was there. If that's what your deal is, it's fine, but that's not mine. But it's important to find, and that's kind of, I think I started writing the blog Fat Slow Triathlete from the very beginning because I just thought, I'm a fat, slow triathlete, and I'm fat and I'm slow, but I am a triathlete. I have finished these races. So that's where that whole thing came from, and that there's more of us than you.
I'm only two of those things.
A triathlete and what?
No, I'm not. Jeez, no, I'm not. No. I don't fear the swim. I fear the bike ride.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The bike can be very painful.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah. But it's what I tell people at the swim is that, and I've gotten in trouble for this before, is that swim is like the least amount of your day. So there was a mantra that my very first triathlon coach gave me was, and I tend to panic in the swim because I don't like getting beat on when I'm swimming by other people, was to swim calm, bike strong, run steady. So you just get through the swim as calmly as you can, kill it on the bike, and just stay steady on the run, and you'll be fine. And so you say every time you start to panic, just say it to yourself. And if you never listen to our show at the end, we still say swim calm, bike strong, run steady. It's just the mantra I've always used it, and so it tends to work. I don't know what you guys use.
I just keep looking at my watch.
Yeah, I tend to do that too.
Is this over? Is this over?
that couldn't have been, there's no way that was only a mile. I have a great triathlon shirt that I picked up like at the very beginning, and all it is a picture of a group of people looking out into the ocean at a buoy and saying, there's no way that's only 400 meters.
Yeah.
You know, and that's exactly how it looks. There's no way that's 400 meters. That looks like 2 miles out there. But yeah. So.
Well, Peter can attest to this. This is Brian. I tend to latch onto somebody who's going my pace and then talk their ear off incessantly. I'm a total motor mouth on the course.
You did that in the film. You were talking. I noticed that. This guy's a talker. Yeah, he's a talker.
Oh boy.
Which I'm not really actually in real life all the time, but once I start running.
This is why I say 2 minutes behind you at any rate.
Yeah, you seem to be more like me than Peter. It's like, because it's like, don't talk to me.
Yeah, well, no, I've often said that the reason why running appeals to me is because in life I tend to talk quite a bit, and when I run I prefer not to talk, and some of that's from sort of oxygen conservation. I don't want to pant out my words, but also because for me it's very meditative. It's a place for me to come out of everything else and sort of get into myself, which I like a lot. And that's why races really, truth be told, don't appeal to me. I'll do them from a standpoint of challenge or certainly training. They're definitely a goal to attain, which I like the journey, not the destination type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've heard that from a lot of people actually, and I'll tell you that too. It's like I prefer the race day is like anticlimactic for me. I'm doing the race because I trained for it, but I'd much rather do the training. You know, it's just an easier. The race is a very very nerve-wracking experience for me usually, especially in triathlons.
But as I look towards thinking about doing an ultra in my future, I think, well, the reverse there might be true.
Right.
That would be a different kind of destination and a different kind of reward.
Remember, all you got to do is run 26.3 miles.
Which I've done technically. I think it was like 26.4 maybe on my last marathon.
You're an ultra runner.
Yeah, because if you just stop running the tangents, if you just go much farther.
Just grab your medal and keep going, and then stop at the banana line, then you're all set.
Keep going through.
You've run an ultra.
Yeah, anything over 26.2 counts. I think it has to be an actual ultra race, though, right, Rob?
I think intention has everything to do with it.
Yeah.
You have to intend to run farther than a marathon.
Intention is 9/10 of the law, Brian.
Sounds like that's not correct.
So I have a question for John. Actually, this is Brian. John, how is it that you trick runners into also cycling and swimming, or do they come to you already converted?
Normally, by the time they come to me, it's already kind of an interest to them. I don't really have to try that hard. My whole thing with getting someone into a triathlon, though, is especially if I know they're very good runners, is that runners make the best triathletes. And I'll tell people, I say, I'm training with for St. Anthony's Triathlon in April, and training with doing a charity team in training, which is the charity that I work with the most. And we have a couple in there that are just doing their first triathlons, the very first triathlons. But there's one guy who runs like a 7:30 mile.
Oh, okay.
I said, this guy, I told him, I said, this guy, you get the swim down and just like be average on a bike, you're going to podium.
You're going to crush it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to crush it. It's like people that can run. I fully believe the triathlons are won by the runners, the people that can run.
Is that because at the end of the race, if you can put it on autopilot and be quick enough to pass others, that's where it's at?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then even if you look at, Robbie, if you disagree with me, please let me know. But even if you look at the champions, like the Carfrays or go back to the Chrissy Wellingtons, and they were runners, and then you'll see like Marinda Carfrey come off the Ironman in Kona in 7th place on the bike and win the race.
Wow.
She just mows everybody down because she runs like a 6:30 or 7-minute mile coming off a bike.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And do you see people who are mid-career, midlife athletes coming at you?
Mm-hmm.
Do they tend to be the runners first who want to go do this, or do you have cyclists who say, "Oh, I've loved the idea of the challenge"?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I don't run into a lot of people that just come from a pure cycling background. I have one that I'm coaching right now just for cycling, because he's doing he's just a cyclist, and he's doing the Ironman in Ireland, and he's doing it as a relay, so he's just doing the cycling. So I'm just
I see. Okay,
he's a pure cyclist.
Okay.
We don't get a lot.
What about
of
pure swimmers?
Yeah, not that many. You don't get a lot of pure swimmers either. Most people come to you from the running background, and especially triathlons seem to be a thing that people want to do when they get older. You know, it's just like one of those things. It's like an ultra now. Ultras are becoming that now, I think.
Yeah.
And trail running especially is becoming a thing now, which I love. Trail running. I love the whole community of trail running. Highly recommend it. My whole
are there any? Go ahead.
I said my whole goal is to just keep doing triathlons till I'm the only one left in my age group, and that way I can win. I can be the world champion. I might be 92, but
that'd be awesome. That'd be so
world
awesome.
champion, and then I'll die and I'll be happy.
I was going to ask about Ironman triathlons, or at least true Ironman distance. They don't have to be Ironman branded, but the big distances. Are any of those races, the running part, are any of those trails, or is it all asphalt or road?
It's all out asphalt. They do have another series called the Xterra series. That are triathlons that are purely, it's a swim, mountain bike, and a trail run.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, which looks, there's a championship in Hawaii. I watch it on TV all the time, the Xterra Championship Series. They look a lot of fun. So the swim is the same. You're still swimming, but then you get on a mountain bike, and then you get on it, then you do a trail run, which is, now I've done one, the HITS series, HITS, in Ocala, Florida, that it was a swim, very cold waters, like 63-degree water. Because it was just, believe it or not, in Florida, it was very cold. And a 56-mile bike, and then the first 3 miles, it was a 2-loop course, but the first 3 miles of each loop were in the woods. But I think that was just more of a logistics thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so not an Ironman brand. It was another series, but that was fun. So anything different. Running asphalt's not the best thing for a guy my size. It wears on you after a while. So. Oh,
absolutely. Speaking of things that are different, so now, do either of you have a destination race in your mind or an event that you have to get to at some point in the relative near future?
You take this one, Rob.
It's been a while. I wondered if I lost my voice there. So,
is Rob still on the call?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a nap, set my son down, and it woke me up a little bit later when it was in my eyes. So, this year, and back and forth a little bit here, I set the goal, and our audience had heard it, but I'll share it, and I might be backing off a little bit. I was trying to qualify for triathlon age group nationals. I've done it a couple times, qualified. I've done the race once, and I was going to try to qualify here. That and years prior, it was out. They move it every 2 years. I went when it was in Milwaukee. They moved it to Omaha, and this year it's coming to Cleveland, which is a fantastically beautiful, exotic place. I hear. So we'll give that a try. That said, as the race John is coming up for is in June. Was it June, John? Yeah, June, and with me here. Yeah, end of June, and hopefully I'm gonna try hard in that one to see if I can qualify for the nationals, which would put me, like I said, Cleveland, which isn't that far, and that's in August, and that was kind of, when I say last year's goal, that's what I had set out there, and I said what I wanted to do. And then, true to all of the other hosts of the show, as soon as I say something, life changes, and then plans kind of get scrapped, because I was going to do 2 or 3 different triathlons in May and June to really amp up the chances of making that qualification. But I then also got into the Pittsburgh Marathon, which you just sign up for. It's not like it's a lottery or that's hard to get into, but I had done it in the past, and they sent out a newsletter that said, hey, 1 day special. Like the first so many people got it for $60, then 61, 62. So I got into the race for, Pittsburgh Marathon for $67. That is in the first weekend of May, and that's what I'm currently training for. At the same time, I found, and it's, I should say, like 3 weeks in a row, I found out I was getting into races. I found out I was getting into the New York Half Marathon, which is coming up just in a few weeks here in March. And I found out I got into Chicago Marathon via the lottery.
Whoa!
So
whoa.
I'm gonna be, when I say
You've got a crazy year.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was supposed to be really triathlon focused in the summer, and I'm still gonna Nationals has USA Triathlon Nationals has 2 days. They have a race that anyone, like you guys have never done a race, could sign up for it and go do the race on Sunday out there. There's a race on Saturday you have to qualify for. So I'm still hoping to qualify for the Saturday race, but I'm planning to do the Sunday race regardless. And like I said, I'm kind of tapering back. I actually, in correspondence with you guys, a few weeks ago, I had interviewed Luke Humphrey, the author of that Hansen's Marathon Method.
Yeah,
so I'm following their plan currently to train for Pittsburgh. And then if all goes well and I don't, injure myself too dramatically in any way, shape, or form, I was going to do the plan again for Chicago. So I already have a lot of travel on the calendar, and I'm having to back away from some of the other stuff that I thought I was going to do.
That's a lot in 1 year.
Yeah, he's got a big year.
So I've done in years past. I've gone from I've done the Quantico triathlon. I've done the Cedar Point half Ironman out there. New York. 1 year I did. I forget. I was kind of doing 2 marathons a year. I had done Pittsburgh and New York City in 1 year. I did the 2. Then I took a year off, and the year following that I came back, I did Nashville and Marine Corps. So I tend to get into some decent races. Not saying my performance is stellar in all of them, but it's fun to travel and do them.
Rob, how old are you?
117. 34. So
do you have responsibilities? Do you have a job? What do you have to do? What are you doing?
How do you fit all this in?
Takes care of me and our 1 year old at home. He doesn't seem to mind missing me much.
Oh, 1 year. Oh,
television and come back later. Bowl of water. He's fine.
Wow.
Live it up.
Yeah, enjoy it while you have it.
What he's doing is he's trying to challenge his coach.
Yeah.
See how. But yeah, no. Rob actually, as a client, is like my best one because he does exactly what he's supposed to do. I never have to worry about him. He does the plan. He communicates. Everything's good.
He produces the show.
I produce the show most of the time. But he'll take the little one out on his stroller for his runs. Things like that. Yeah, he's a good dad. He's a good dad. Makes use of his time.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
And how much did you say it cost you to get into the Pittsburgh Marathon this year?
$67.
I spend more money on Body Glide.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Brian can attest to that. That's real.
Yeah, I have something better for you. 2 words: trail toes.
Ooh.
Yeah, pick up some of that. You'll never go back to Body Glide again.
Trail toes. Can I use that everywhere?
You can. I have. I don't know if you can, but I've put it everywhere.
Trail toes. I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. I was turned on. Actually, I found it on Amazon. I kind of read about it, and then it was for the Vermont race last May when I was training for it because I was getting blisters in the woods. My feet just weren't used to it, and the day that I ordered it, my coach at that time, she texted me and said you need to get some trail toes.
Okay.
Get the trail toes. So, and yeah, I've never looked back. I still use more of a chamois cream for the bike, but yeah, my chest sometimes and feet and everything, I slather that stuff on me no matter where I'm going. So it's worked really well so far.
To follow up on the destination question, and we talked a little bit about Millinocket before, but I'm about to try to get into the Boilermaker 15 up there in Utica, New York. Have either of you run that race?
No.
I've only heard about it for you guys talking about it. I have not tried to get in.
So what is that? Boilermaker 15.
Yeah, it's a 15 kilometer, so 9 miler. It's in Utica, downtown Utica.
But I think the big thing is that it's always hot because it's the weekend after July 4th.
Yeah.
And it's just a huge party. I mean,
it's very well
attended. The whole town in central New York comes out for it. So it's a big race.
I think this is the 41st running of it. And it spills out it ends in the parking lot of the Saranac Brewery.
You guys keep throwing these, I keep getting these destination races thrown at me. I'm not a wealthy man.
Well, you can. I'm not going to let you even try that this year because I need the slot because it's total. I have to wait until I'm not even going to say the day that it opens. I know the day that it opens online. I'm not going to say it out loud, and we can talk about it all you want after I'm in.
Okay,
that's right.
All right.
I will interject and share that you don't have to worry about me. This is Rob speaking, taking your slot, and the reason being is my wife committed us to a trip with friends, and we are going to be traveling to Cape Cod around that time, in which case after listening to your show and listening to you guys going to November Project and all that stuff, I'm like, in my mind it was going to be perfect because we needed to stop with the little guy. We can't do 8 hours straight from my town to the to Cape Cod. So I thought what we do is I figured we'll go to Boston, and when my wife will enjoy it, and I can plan this trip, and I can maybe hit an NP workout and have all this fun. Not realizing that Boston is actually north of Cape Cod, so it'd be like going a few hours out of the way to come back. But it's going to be the same week as the Boilermaker. So I'll be traveling the opposite direction of you, hopefully. As in, I'm heading your way and you're heading away.
But you should still come to NP because it's 6:30 in the morning. What else are you going to do? You could commute. You could commute from Cape Cod and still be home for breakfast.
I've mapped it. It's only an hour and 22 minutes. So yes,
that's right.
People do.
Workout starts.
People drive it. People come out. Will you be there for a Wednesday and for a Friday?
I don't know because we're traveling out and then back. It's not out of the realm of possibility because I don't. And this is one of those. If you've seen the movie with George Clooney's, what the hell? It's an old one. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? This place is a geographical anomaly. It's 2 weeks from everywhere. It's from my house to Cape Cod is 8 hours. From my house to Boston to Cape Cod is 8 hours and 30 minutes. How I can drive an hour and a half, because it's an hour and a half from Boston. I don't understand how that works since Boston is north of Cape Cod, but it's not out of the realm yet. But we'll see if my wife listens to this show and then, she's on to my ruse.
Your wife doesn't listen to the show, though.
Yeah, she's not going to listen to the show. Don't worry about it.
I'm safe.
You're safe. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I still have a couple of I guess you'd call destination races. Anything out of Florida is a destination, but I have penciled in
for a long time, John. Whenever you were talking to Andy, anything above Georgia was like a 20-minute drive because John's always like, "Oh, Rob, you should go talk to Andy. You're both in Pennsylvania." I'm like,
"You're both in Pennsylvania.
Like 3 hours. He's 3 hours away from me. If he doesn't realize how maps work, I don't."
Yeah,
so.
well, people do that to me too. It's like, why don't you just go down and see the Dolphins? Well, the Dolphins are 4 hours away. Tampa is not next to Miami. Orlando, Disney's 2 hours away from me. Not everybody's. We're not. Every place in Florida is not right next to the beach.
You don't go over there for lunch?
No, I try. I tend to stay away from Disney.
Mm-hmm.
When you grow up
the
here.
Court said so.
What's that?
The court said you have to.
Well, yeah. After that one incident, I'm not allowed in Disney anymore.
Actually, Disney is now famous everywhere else anyway for all of these races they put on. Have you done any of those?
Oh yeah. My first marathon was the Disney Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And what we call the problem with the Disney Marathon is so many people, I mean, now I did one a couple weeks ago here in Tampa called the Gasparilla weekend, and there was like 30,000 plus. But Tampa, as I said on the show, Tampa's a small town. People think it's a big city. It's not really that big. So to cram 30,000 people on there is a feat. It has Disney is like crazy.
Okay.
They run through the parks and everything like that, so it can get very crowded. Everybody wants to go through the castle. You actually have to stop to get through the castle on a marathon because everybody wants to get through that castle because that's where the pictures are taken. So yeah, it's one of those races. You have maybe a few thousand that are really serious runners trying to BQ or something like that. 'Cause it is a qualifier, but the majority of people there will stop on a dime to take a picture with a character. So it can be very long, and it starts very early. They start corralling people at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh my goodness! Oh, do you need to be done before the park actually opens?
Yeah, and that's what happens is that they'll start. The race starts at like 6. I think the first one goes. I've been in the corrals still, and people are passing us on the 6th mile, and I still haven't started the race yet.
Oh my gosh!
There's just a lot of people. We call it the death march because everybody's in the parking lot. When they start moving people to the corrals, it's like everybody's just trudging forward. Finding the corrals. And the one year I did, and I know it's going to sound weird for Florida, but the year I did the marathon, it was 32 degrees.
No kidding.
3:00, 30.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 3. And imagine that, Florida, 30 degrees in January, but by the time I was done, it was 78 degrees.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, so that's the swing that you get sometimes even just the Gasparilla a couple weeks ago, it started off at 55 and it ended up in 81 when I finished.
Yeah, we had some friends who did the Dopey Challenge this past early January, and it was the same story, right? Very cold to start.
Very cold to start, but then it gets warm. And that Dopey Challenge, that's the one I attempted. I got 2 of the 3 races done.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, they're fun races. You can't go into... If you go into it like it's just going to be a fun race, it's fine. It's a lot of like highway running.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things like that. Everybody thinks again Disney World is all encased in this one little spot, but if you come out of the Magic Kingdom and the next place is Animal Kingdom, well, Animal Kingdom is like 6 miles away. So and that's all highway.
Okay.
So yeah, so you're out there, no shade, nothing.
Well, you've just turned my whole idea of those races around.
It's fun when you're in the park. When you're in the parks, they're great.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining. But I didn't think about running down the highway to the next park.
Are they closed off? Do they close the highways off while you're doing it, or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's totally closed down. Yeah, that is. Yeah, they do close it down. The cool thing is that the parks they'll open it up to the spectators, so people are like, and the employees are all out there, so it's like the park's going, but it's not. So it's kind of a cool experience, but it can be frustrating for people that take it too seriously. Yeah. So there goes our sponsorship from Disney, I guess.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. So, still there, Rob?
I'm still here. Yeah.
I heard crickets.
Every so often, I'll just say like something random just so you know I'm here.
Just so you know you're there. Yeah. So the other, Runners World is in October. The Runners World Festival. I did that last year, and so I still have that kind of penciled in. Not really sure. And then Millinocket, I have it in there. So I was actually looking at flights the other day to see how to get up there.
I think he's trying to guilt you guys since he's debating Millinocket, trying to get you guys to come down to Pennsylvania for Runners World.
That's right.
I wouldn't be against it. I just this year's a little tight.
Yeah, that's in the fall, right? In September, I think it is.
October usually.
October, yeah.
And is it a series of races or just one?
Yeah, it's a series. It's it's a full weekend of races. I did the 10K last year. I did really well in it. It was like I beat my personal best by like, what was it, Rob? 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
It was in hills. I was shocked. But but I think it was like we were talking about. It's a combination of the training and the cool weather. I'm not used to running in weather like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I like that experience a lot. I would recommend Runner's World. I don't think they've set a date yet this year, so we'll see. But and then go up to the Dam Try, and that's actually the name of it, by the way, the Dam Try, in the end of June up there in Pennsylvania.
And then would you go to Chicago and cheer Rob on, or what?
If I could get up there, I would. Yeah, it usually comes down to funds with me, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you can't go everywhere.
It can't go everywhere. Yeah, there's only so much funds to get around. Although, you know, I don't have any responsibilities. It's just me. So.
Well, that's a responsibility right there.
Yeah, I cost more than anybody else would.
Right.
So Rob, you got anything else?
I don't. I mean, I got a bunch of stuff wrote down. I don't think we got to any of it, but none of it's important whatsoever. So it's, you know.
Do I hear a baby?
You know.
Did I hear a baby?
What's that?
Did I hear a baby?
Not here. Did you guys steal one?
Was that
No,
baby?
I ran 3 miles today, so I'm probably just making noises.
Is that what she?
So Peter, how was your run today?
Well, thank you for asking. It was 3.1 miles on the treadmill today because I had to squeeze in during the lunch hour, and it was a little chilly outside, and I did not bring any kind of tights. I was only in shorts and a short tank, tech shirt rather, not a tank. That'd be awesome if I was in a tank top, Brian. If I was rocking the tank top in the gym.
Awesome is an adjective you could use, I guess. Maybe not the one I would.
It would be awe-inspiring. And
it'd be a spectacle.
It was pretty good. I actually went pretty
I listened to your millennial special. I mean, I think that'd be lit.
Ooh,
it would definitely
that's
be lit because I am fit. And no doubt. And I use the treadmill, and whenever I use the treadmill, which I hate to do, I always like to do a little incline action. I love to do speed. I love to get a little bit faster because it's one of the few places where I can sort of have a real handle on changing the speed and knowing that I'm making an impact. And I was able to run partial of each mile sub, I don't know, I was around 8:30s, and I ended up averaging about 9 minutes, 9:09 for the whole thing, that's unbelievably fast for my size. I'm a very slow guy, but I'm just trying to quicken my pace a little bit because I am guiding my friend Tim Sullivan in the BA 5K that's happening this Saturday of marathon weekend, and I just need to be able to try to stay slightly in front of him if possible, since I'm the guy, in theory, helping him get to where he's going. Yeah,
guiding is usually good, practice to be out in front,
Yeah, I don't actually. It's more to the side. I think it's more like side or 2/3 sort of in front.
Yeah, but dragging behind is.
But dragging behind is really bad, and being on top of him as like a lookout tower is probably bad.
Unless you're trying to if you're behind him, steering him like a kite, maybe. I don't know. Pull to the right, pull to the left.
He would let me do that. He would definitely let me do that. Yeah. So yeah, today's run was great. And I'm doing Hal Higdon's 8-week program for I've never done a training program for a 5K before. I don't know why, because I just never thought that was something I would choose to do. But it's actually quite good to have that kind of structure for even something as, I don't want to say as basic as a 5K, because it's not basic. It's still a real race, and that particular race is extremely congested. It's extremely well attended, and it gets very, very narrow in certain parts. So it's very interesting to do sort of some of the speed workout that I'm doing and some of the intervals that I'm doing, and I'm never doing enough core, Brian. I'm never doing enough core.
Core's the middle part, right?
Core's the part where all the ice cream goes.
That's my issue. I look really good from the chest up and the waist down.
Yeah, I look good from satellite. So one thing I like about Strava is that you don't ever have to put a picture of yourself on it.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Yeah, maps are very flattering.
Even the heat maps, right?
Yeah, that's a whole thing. They're changing their policy on the military thing.
Are they?
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah. I was just reading about that. Did you see about that, Rob?
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah, about the military using it, and it's basically showing maybe where concentrations of troops are. I'm like, yeah, it's probably not the smartest thing in the world, but somebody might have ran that one up the flagpole. So.
So you want to wrap this up, Rob?
Well, you keep them on back to me, John. You know, you're like, hey, Rob,
because you haven't. I'm trying to let you talk. See,
I'm trying to bring you back into the circle. Every time I'm out, he pulls me back in.
I'm trying to let a big old bear hug.
Thanks, John.
You guys have never been in the same room together?
Never.
Jesus, nope. Brian and I are never apart.
Yeah. Well,
the similarities, you know, are striking. You know, it's you guys are always in the same room. John and I are, you know, half a country away. You know, you guys, your big guy Peter is the size of our small guy, me, Rob. You know, so it's you know, you guys you do, I could say that in comparison though, Brian, you know, you have your injuries, John has his. I've remained relatively injury free, but Peter, I know you've recovered from some. You guys have talked about that. So
yeah.
It seems like there's always the interesting mix on a show where, you know, don't necessarily need to be exactly the same, can have opposites and it can work out. So
well, do you guys sketch out your whole season? Like, I planned on getting Achilles tendonitis last year. So we filled that through, and then we knew that was going to roll. Once I got better, he had the hip surgery coming up. Then I pulled my back just to add tension because I didn't want him to steal the whole impending hip surgery thing in the video. So
he needed to be more injured than I was.
Yeah, and
it was kind of an aside about the hip thing in the video. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to have hip surgery or something like that.
He had like a little nip tuck. He didn't.
Yeah, it's funny. It's actually Peter and I. We realized at one point we hadn't gone for a run together it was close to a year or 9 months anyway.
Yeah, 9 months.
Because either one of us was in PT or recovering or not being able to, you know, run more than half a mile or a mile at a time. So we did this show, each of us doing our own thing, and realized we hadn't even run for close to a year together.
Wow.
And that's where the show started, was us,
that's how it started.
You know, going for a run and talking about it.
And now it's bad luck if we do. I mean, you saw what happened in that video. That's the last time we ran together. So
there we go.
That's it. So that's
we're not never doing it again.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Let's stick to podcasting. It's safer.
Yeah, let's stick to podcasting. It's so much more lucrative.
I'm telling you, man. Rolling in it. Working for free.
I think that's a great place to end it there, Brian. What do you think?
There we
working
go.
For free? Yeah, working for free, real optimistic, and we'll never run together ever again. That's great.
Show done.
Well, we'll see you guys in Millinocket.
Yeah, we'll see you. If not sooner, we'll see you in Millinocket for sure, because you're both coming.
Yeah, Rob's coming. Don't worry.
Get flights directly to Bangor, Maine. That's where you want to go.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, actually. So it is Bangor, because that's kind of where I was being directed. But
yeah, it's about an hour.
Yeah, and the second you think you really are going to do it, you got to lock down your Airbnb or your hotel room, because the whole area fills up. Yeah,
exactly what I was talking about the other day, too. It's like, you know, if we're going to do this, we need to get, like, hotels now.
That's a real thing. That's not a joke. We already have our space for next year already. We got it the same week we ran the last one.
Okay.
Do you have a spare cot in case I choose to show up?
No, one of our roving reporters, a guy named Igor Babushkin, has already claimed it. So no, I'm sorry. You'd have to.
Yeah, we really already have our couch taken.
We already have the couch taken.
But spots will open up because people will drop out. But keep on it because before the race,
either lock up a hotel room outside of Bangor or try to find an Airbnb much closer to the start of the race.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking just get something near Bangor and just drive in, but.
Yeah, people do it, and it's not possible. I mean, the weather could play tricks on you, but I'm sure you coming from Florida, you won't bring bad weather or anything to Maine.
I have loads of experience driving in snow.
You'll need it.
I have none. I've only seen snow once in my life.
Always turn.
Occasionally.
Go ahead.
I occasionally send John a photo, and he says, "What's that white stuff? Sand?"
It's all that white stuff. Oh, that just looks horrible. That's like ice falling from the sky. No, thank you.
Well, then we'll have to go skiing after the race.
Another thing I've never done.
Put it on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we were thinking about, going up for, like, maybe trying to make a week of it, I've never been to Canada, so I'm going to, like, stick my toe over.
I mean, you're not going to be right up next to it, but you're certainly on the way. You're pretty far
Not
up.
far at all,
if you can take a week, seriously, that is, and the people who live up there will tell you, you're like, absolutely explore and see as much of it as you can. And the whole point of the race is to bring attention and commerce to the area. And I think you guys, and make hay of it while you're there. Do a show while you're there or something.
Yeah, that was kind of the plan. I think is that if I can get Rob up there to do a show up there, and to really the whole story of that race is I like it. I like what they're doing. I like what the race director did up there. I just like the whole idea of it. So anytime you could save a small town, and I just heard that, from other shows, I've just heard that the people up there are outstanding. So even if they are Patriot fans,
John, let it go.
We've come full circle.
We've come full circle. All right,
guys. Well, thanks so much for having us on.
All right.
Hey, thank you. And, like I said, we appreciate you guys getting on. Not quite sure how you guys are going to edit it up, or just, click delete and say, never talking to this. John is signed up for
were we recording?
Hit record.
Were we recording? Oh, I wasn't ready. Darn.
We'll send you a file. Don't worry. So John signed up for Millinocket. I don't know if I will not verbal whether I am in or out. I will have a discussion with the wife, but I
can guarantee you can afford the entry fee.
Yeah, you totally can.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, it's cheaper than Pittsburgh. Come on, hon, let me go. So hopefully I will be there, and if not, I will send a few dollars along with John just to buy some of your sweet swag that you perpetually talk about, but not close enough to get.
Spend all your money at the Moose Drop Inn. That's all I'll tell you. That's the
Moose Drop Inn. Okay.
That's where you want to do it.
All right.
Guys, thanks so much.
All right, guys. Good races. Good luck.
Talk soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Endurance for Everyone podcast. If you have comments or questions for the show, send an email to teamE4E at enduranceforeveryone.com. And remember, swim calm, bike strong, and run steady.